this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chris Burkett, President of TSX. On behalf of TSX, all of my colleagues at TMX Group, I'm very pleased to welcome the Minister to the Market Centre today as we support this important announcement, one that will help advance Ontario's mining sector and strengthen the province's economy. To all of our issuers and industry partners in the room, thank you very much for your continued contributions. Welcome today as well. Your leadership and innovation are what drive our mining sector forward and help build the economies of Canada and Ontario specifically. We're incredibly proud of the strength and resilience of Canada's markets. Today, we open the market to $5.9 trillion of trading on TSX and TSX Venture Exchange. We do this against a backdrop of shifting global dynamics, a testament to our strength, ability, and the development and the competitiveness of the companies listed on our markets. We are recognized as global leaders in the mining industry. We have listed more mining companies than any other exchange in the world, and it's built on an ecosystem of deep expertise, long history, and leadership in financial, banking, and legal standards that lead us to such a market with investor confidence. Over the past 5 years, 32% of all mining equity capital raises have been done right here on the Toronto Stock Exchange and the TSX Venture Exchange, better than any of the competitors in our industry. At TMX, we're proud to support the initiatives that strengthens Ontario's economy, enhance investor confidence, and create greater certainty for companies operating and investing in this province. We're working hard to maintain this competitive edge that Canada's capital markets have built and support all initiatives aimed at doing the same. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce the Honourable Stephen Lecce, Ontario's Minister of Energy and Mines.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning. It's good to be with you all. Thank you so much, Chris, for the introduction. And really, it's good to be at the global center of mining economic activity here at the TSX. I want to give a warm shout out to my parliamentary colleagues who are with us. I want to thank Andrea Khanjin, the Minister of Red Tape Reduction, the MPP for Barrie Innisfil, who's been doing a lot of heavy lifting across the government to ensure we have the conditions, the regulatory conditions to attract investment and create jobs. I want to thank Lisa Thompson, the Minister of Rural Affairs, MPP for Huron-Bruce, home of Bruce Power. She's been an amazing advocate for the resource economy. Rudy Cozzetto, Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Energy and Mines, MPP for Mississauga Lakeshore, and again, a strong ally when it comes to getting resources to market. Michelle Cooper, the newly elected MPP for Eglinton Lawrence, Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Finance. We're working together as we build out the economy here in the GTHA. Laura Smith, MPP for Thornhill, Logan Kanapathy, MPP for Markham Thornhill, both of whom are partners in York Region and deeply committed to Canadian resources, ethically sourced resources. Sharif Sabawi is MPP for Mississauga Erin Mills, and someone who has been doing a lot of good work in global markets too to promote mining. Priya Tandon is with us. She's the president of the Ontario Mining Association, and obviously this has been one of her significant public policy aspirations, so we're grateful for the partnership. Karen Restituel, the Director of Indigenous Affairs and Senior Fellow at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute. We're very grateful for her leadership. And of course, Chris, who was the earlier speaker, the president here at the TSX listings, thank you for the welcome. It's good to be back. We came here with Premier Ford to announce a vision to emerge as the fastest permitting mining jurisdiction in the industrialized world. But we started with the second slowest in the OECD, where it was averaging up to 15 years to build a mine in this province. And every Canadian knew months ago, post-President Trump, that we had to move with speed to realize our economic potential. That economic self-reliance starts with our ability to move resource projects forward. And today, after months of hard work, introducing this legislation in May, passing it in June, consulting and bringing forth regulations through the summer, today, 4 months later, in unprecedented speed, our government is proud to announce that one project, one process, the 50% reduction, the imposition of a maximum of 24 months to approve a mine in this province is now the law of the land. And this is fundamental to transforming Ontario as a true energy superpower. Just this week, we are all aware of the news of hardship in the economy. President Trump is very determined, amongst others in China and abroad, who have an interest in undermining our jobs and our workers. And for every member of provincial parliament behind me, for every member of Premier Ford's parliamentary caucus, we are absolutely determined to stand up for our country, to stand up for Canadian resources and workers and technology, the most ethically sourced on earth. So we brought forth the vision, slash the red tape, move with speed, do it in partnership with Indigenous and municipal communities, but get on with building. Because in Australia, in Western Australia, they approve a mine and open a mine in less than 8 years. In the European Union, they're doing it in less than 10 years. We can do it faster. And for every job that may be lost, or for every challenge we will face, there is, as a matter of industrial policy, it is energy, it is mines that will be our anchor to keep Canadians employed. And so we have many of the largest mining company leaders with us today in the House of the TSX. They dreamed of a regulatory system that gives them certainty, absolute binding certainty, after years of often permits sitting on someone's desk for 18 months at a time. That literally ends today. And we're honored as a government to move with this level of speed and ambition and to demonstrate to Canadians that the world has changed, and so will government. So will how we interface with business and community and Indigenous nations. So this is a really exciting day for the people of Ontario, because what it shows you is that we can get things done. When Premier Ford made a commitment, it wasn't a commitment followed by a royal commission for the next 10 years. The problem is well socialized. It takes too long to do big things in this country. If we want to be strong, we want to create jobs, we want our kids to have that opportunity the generations past have, we have to move on with a program, with a policy framework that actually incentivizes capital to move to the province, not flee like it did for so many years in this country. So the new policy, this new one project, one process is now the law of the land. It will benefit every mine before us. There's 10 mines right now actively working through the permit process, mining companies. Every one of those projects will benefit from this new reality today. 24-month maximum delivery. We will shepherd your permit through the enterprise of government. One point of contact, one interface, one outcome, an approval, we get to yes by 24 months. We are now going to go, as I mentioned, the second slowest, the OECD, to faster than even the European Union at 27 months. And I think that speaks to the ambition Canadians demand of their government when they see so much economic hardship around us. So it's an honor to be here with my parliamentary colleagues and my many stakeholder partners who have called for this predictability and, more importantly, really demanded the government demonstrate self-reliance in action. And we're doing it today. So I just want to say thank you to all of our partners who have been with us, all of the investors who've stood by us, all the workers, and for the next generation of workers in Northern Ontario and beyond. I was just speaking with some of my parliamentary team and colleagues who are with us, and we were reminding people, we want to take this moment to remind Canadians, connecting the dots. Northern Resources is enabling Southern manufacturing. Every piece of technology you have in your hand today, everything of consequence, from national defense, from the weaponry that we will need to safeguard our country, to superconductors, everything, all roads lead through our minerals. And I will conclude with this. I will appeal to the inner patriot within us all. If it's not Canada, if we don't step it up and deliver ethical resources to the world, then we are enabling the very regimes abroad. I think of the Chinese who have cornered the critical mineral market, who have used market manipulations to undermine our workers. If we don't move today with speed and intention, we are enabling, if allowing, those nations to win the day. And no Canadian, no honest, patriotic Canadian would tell me that this country with the highest environmental, labor, and human rights standards on earth, the gold standard literally in the world, is not the best jurisdiction for the purpose of getting resources to the markets and to the world. So let's stand up for our country, and let's do it in partnership, recognizing what we are doing today, what Premier Ford has achieved in literally 4 months is a transformation of government that we've never seen. And this is just the beginning. And it is the beginning, because the next speaker, who's the Minister of Red Tape Reduction, is leading an effort across the Government of Ontario to ensure we also reduce red tape and, frankly, incentivize investment and jobs in the province, enterprise-wide, not just in the Ministry of Energy and Mines. She's conducting this process right across government. She's been a wonderful partner and a real dedicated minister committed to the cause of Canadian resources. So I now want to introduce Andrea Khanjin, someone I've known since I was 13 years young. Over half my life, I can say we've known each other. But she's been really a strong voice for business, for workers, and for Canadian resources. So please welcome Andrea Khanjin to the stage. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lecce, for that remarkable introduction, and it's wonderful to be here. Just really complimenting the great work Mr. Lecce is doing, his leadership and vision for a united, strengthened Canada that really finally puts the heart of making things and building things in Canada and Ontario yet again. I also want to thank the President of the Toronto Stock Exchange, Chris Bissett, for welcoming us here today and being a very generous host with all your partners. But why are we here? You know, I think we can all agree that permitting should not be a maze. It should actually be a launch pad for our entire economy across the entire enterprise, as Minister Lecce said. Because government processes should serve people, not delay them and get in their way. And today, we're showing that we're taking action to protect Ontario by making our great province more competitive and more responsive to more investment-ready projects, and bringing more investment to our nation today. Under the leadership of Premier Ford and my colleague, Minister Lecce, and all of my colleagues across government who really believe that we have the natural resources it takes to put our economy on the forefront. Today, we're introducing the One Project, One Process to streamline permitting for advanced exploration and mine development projects across Ontario. This means faster approvals, less duplication, and a coordinated whole-of-government approach that cuts government review times in half. And in the past, businesses had to navigate a fragmented system, multiple ministries overlapping reviews, and unclear timelines that slowed down progress and discouraged investment and didn't give that certainty that was much needed. The One Project, One Process replaces the complexity with clarity, bringing approvals under one streamlined, coordinated approach. And friends, let's be clear, this is government finally working across horizontally rather than working in silos. And this is an example of red tape reduction in action. We're cutting delays, not corners. We're helping businesses move faster while maintaining strong environmental safeguards. This isn't just about faster permitting, it's about unlocking billions in potential investment and creating good-paying jobs across Ontario. Because when we reduce barriers, we unleash the full economic potential, not just of our economy, our mining sector, but we help every individual in Ontario innovate and prosper. With One Project, One Process, we are sending a clear message. We will stop at nothing to protect Ontario's competitiveness. We're also making sure Ontario remains resilient, responsive, and ready to lead in a rapidly changing global economy. This is just the beginning. We're building a permitting system that's modern, transparent, and built for the future. And to put in perspective for everyone who is joining us here today, is before we even embarked on this exercise, Ontario had no concept of how many permits we had. This is an exercise that other jurisdictions did. And finally, the work that Minister Lecce has led with partnership with Premier Ford and all ministries, we actually know that we have 332 permits across the enterprise that are economic permits. And so now we're looking at that next step. What can we do better to reduce the red tape in that 332 permitting system where we can reduce the delays, give the certainty, and use every toolbox in our arsenal to get things done faster? You know, this is our moment as Ontarians, as Canadians, to seize the moment to be, again, the most competitive in the G7, and today is a start to be in that direction. But things like this and projects like this wouldn't be possible without partners. And that's why I'm really pleased to introduce Karen Resolute next as our next speaker, who is the Director of Indigenous Affairs and Senior Fellow at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute, who has been a great partner in this policy journey that we've embarked on. And I'm really excited about the work ahead in partnership with Karen.
Thank you, Minister Khanjin and Minister Lecce. I'm honored to join you today and lend my voice to this important announcement. Today's announcement signals a meaningful shift for all parties, including First Nations, who are partners in resource development projects across Ontario. For years, Ontario's mining permitting system has grown increasingly complicated, and that's an understatement. Layer upon layer of separate permits, reviews, procedural safeguards, while well-intentioned, have resulted in confusion, duplication, and delay. Each new permit brought another branch of government, another timeline, another consultation process, forcing First Nations project partners to navigate a revolving door of different government representatives just to have one set of concerns understood. That complexity has made meaningful consultation harder, not easier. Ontario's move towards a one project, one process framework is an important response to that reality. By bringing various components together under one coordinated approach, while upholding the Crown's duty to consult, it creates a clearer, more coherent path for everyone involved. For First Nations project partners, this means fewer fragmented conversations, more opportunity to be heard clearly and comprehensively across government. It opens the door to more constructive dialogue. Regulators can now focus on listening to understand rather than just check boxes and respond with coordinated action instead of scattered replies. This is how we build trust. I'm encouraged by this direction and look forward to seeing the positive, constructive impact it will have on the ground. And with that, I invite Priya Tandon from the Ontario Mining Association.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I'm so proud to be here with many of our members. 80-plus member companies and 36 operating mines across this province are part of the Ontario Mining Association. A big thank you to Minister Lecce for bringing us all together. So good to see Minister Khanjin here today, and I think it's a testament that so many MPPs are here today, as the Minister mentioned, from Southern Ontario, recognizing just how important of a priority mining in Ontario is today. So it's a privilege to be here among leaders in industry, government, and communities who care as deeply about mining as we do. Mining is a cornerstone of our economy, driving innovation, creating well-paying jobs, strengthening the domestic supply chain, and investing directly in communities across Ontario. But we can't do it alone. That's why it's so encouraging to see this government taking concrete steps to make Ontario a more modern and competitive jurisdiction. Ontario mining companies are world leaders in safety, environmental protection, and ethical business practices. We operate under some of the most stringent regulations in the world, protecting ecosystems, cutting emissions, and supporting long-term sustainability. And while we welcome efforts to modernize the permitting system, we agree that efficiency must never compromise responsibility. Our strength lies in clear, stable rules, backed by a shared commitment to safety, environmental stewardship, and improving the lives of people in the communities in which we operate. Our commitment to Indigenous economic reconciliation, workforce development, and community collaboration remains a top priority, and we continue to work with partners to strengthen relationships built on respect for cultural heritage and traditional land stewardship. The One Project, One Process initiative is a promising step toward better coordination. And to unlock its full potential, we need greater alignment across ministries, particularly around permits required across different portfolios and consultation processes. A shared, consistent framework, including a unified list of communities to engage with, would provide clarity not only for industry, but for Indigenous partners in government as well. And we're eager to collaborate on helping shape that clarity. We also see an opportunity to extend this progress beyond individual projects. With 36 active mines contributing nearly $24 billion to Ontario's GDP, it is so clear that our operating mines are essential to Ontario's success. And By bringing forward these projects in the pipeline, I'm confident that government will be able to find the efficiencies needed to better coordinate regulatory approvals and apply this approach across the entire mining landscape in Ontario. To sustain and grow prosperity, we must reduce duplication and delays for all companies, big or small, ensuring a fair, predictable, and efficient system. Systemic optimization isn't just about speed, it's about trust, certainty, competitiveness, and long-term confidence. So with our strong partnerships with government and Indigenous partners, the mining sector can see real progress in the One Project, One Process framework for new projects and existing operations to strengthen our economy at home first. Thank you.
We will now open up the floor to questions from media. Please come up to the mic and state your name and outlet. As a reminder, it's one question, one follow-up. We'll start with our first reporter.
Good morning.
Hi, Mirna Djukic, Radio-Canada. Hi, everyone. Minister, I have a question for you about isotopes. We were expecting the first MECO report in September. Can you explain the delay, why it hasn't come out yet, and when we will get it?
For context, you are referring to a report, medical isotope report, after we commissioned an expert panel led by James Skoniak, who's a friend of Lisa and Rudy and I's, from Bruce Power. We gave them a mandate to bring forth the recommendations, with the final recommendation report being released in 2026. We are well on track to doing that. With respect to the interim report that you're referencing, I could confirm it will be released in the coming weeks. They have taken some additional time really to bolster it, given the ambition we have. Just for context for Canadians watching, medical isotopes are derived from our CANDU reactors. It is part of the very critical scientific evolution that has allowed us to use nuclear power for the purpose of saving lives when it comes to cancer treatments and radiopharmaceuticals, so that are being derived based on these derivatives of CANDU reactors. So the fact that Ontario has given a mandate to double production in the next 5 years is a huge lift for the world, frankly. And we're excited to bring forth the report, release it in the new year, and move on it. And since then, we've not waited. We've announced funding in the budget for McMaster University to provide a 24/7 nuclear microreactor that already exists at McMaster. We operationalize it 24/7, which is going to allow them to produce a medical isotope and ultimately a pharmaceutical treatment for prostate cancers for up to 100,000 men that can be saved as a consequence. So we're really scaling. Bruce, OPG, the private sector, everyone's playing an important role in the production of isotopes. We produce half of cobalt in the world. We really see our Canada and Ontario playing a leadership role. And the ambition we have on this report or this task force is to go from good to great.
And on that benchmark or doubling the production,
Right.
What baseline are you using? Because it seems like a very ambitious goal for only 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty is that we have production CANDU reactors, which are all of Canada, Ontario and Canada's large nuclear reactors. They can produce medical isotopes. And so at Bruce Power, we've worked with them. And actually, I may turn it to Lisa Thompson, who's the MPP for the area and the Minister for Rural Affairs, just to demonstrate to us how in rural parts of Ontario, small towns and big cities, the expansion of medical isotopes is a win-win. We partnered with Bruce Power and the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation to announce a landmark investment, $250 million, to produce medical isotopes for global markets. We, of course, 24/7 operationalize McMaster's reactor to produce more of these treatments to combat prostate cancers. So we're using every resource available to the government to scale, and we are absolutely confident we can. In fact, it's a minimum of 50%. We're actually, the reason why I think the panel is building it out further is because we actually wanted to exceed that standard. So we have absolute confidence that we're going to meet that objective and that benchmark, and we're just grateful for the panel's recommendations. As you could see from the list of individuals on it, these are amongst the most respected leaders in science, medicine, industry in the country. But I do want to turn it to Lisa, just because I wouldn't mind her perspective on the local side.
Well, thank you very much, Minister Lecce, and I just want to add my perspective. When you tour Bruce Power and you walk past the area where the isotopes are harvested, you can't help but fill with hope, because not only is Ontario, but through their nuclear fleet, leading the world in clean, affordable, reliable energy, but we're leading the world in bringing hope to people that are fighting cancer. And not only that, the panel is taking time to make sure that they have engaged in thoughtful consultations and partnerships. I see it at home through the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation and the manner in which they're working with Bruce Power. And that economic impact is going to ripple through our communities, not only in rural Ontario, but across the province. And I just want to close by saying, you know, we are thinking about the mining industry. The work that's being done and the thoughtfulness that the panel is bringing forward is mining hope for the world when it comes to properly using isotopes to fight cancer. Thank you.
If I can, just to be clear, my question is, double it from what? What's the amount, the baseline we're using to say we're doubling it?
So we can provide further detail. When we actually made the announcement, we included some of those benchmarks of the NICO panel. We have OPG, Bruce Power, and then a variety of private sector entities involved. So it's not linear. Each entity and frankly private business is involved in production. And when we release the interim recommendations in the coming weeks, you'll have a better sense of that baseline objective. But I think you could be assured this is ambitious. This is global in its scale. And I think it is hopeful, because for a lot of people that want access to treatments, we could assure them that Ontario is often at the source or the heart of much of the world's medical radio, and many of the treatments used to combat and eradicate cancer. So it's a positive announcement, and just in a few short weeks, I assure you, you'll get the details you're asking.
Okay, sorry, I have another question about the
Sure.
one project, one process
Yes.
thing. So again, seeking clarity on the benchmarks here, you're talking about a 50% reduction of the
Yes.
approval time and a maximum of 24 months. Does that include the first step of getting the project designated? And if not, how long do you expect that to take?
So the project proponents, working with the local community and First Nation, once they've done their work, they'll come to the government and request a permit. Once that permit has been requested of government, we'll do our work. The clock starts at a 24-month maximum, and then we will take that permit and then essentially shepherd it right across the enterprise of government, ministry by ministry, to get it approved within that baseline. And I think that's the important outcome here, that we're literally imposing maximum numbers of days, a ceiling of time a public servant or politician can take to render a decision, to provide maximum certainty. And that's the outcome. That's the future state that we're now implementing today.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our press conference.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much.